Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This is Total Football Talk. We're going to look at all the latest news, and I don't really know if there's much transfer news going on about Manchester United. There's plenty being talked about, though. So we're going to dive into the headlines and look at what's actually being said. Onana, sort of transfer news in terms of potential loan deal. Where could it be going? We will look at what Sir Jim Ratcliffe was sort of involved in conversations due to Kobbie Mainoo. We will have a look at that. We'll have a look at what Anthony has said. Is he putting himself in the same category as Angel Di Maria? And his take on Manchester and his time here, well, maybe not so much his time here, but what he thinks of the city. We will also explore routes that Manchester United are looking at for Tyrell Malacia. And obviously, one of the bit of breaking news is that Diogo Dalot has been pulled out of the Portuguese squad. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing for you? Are you happy? Do you not mind if Diogo Dalot's injured? Are we starting to pick up injuries? Well, let's jump into it and let's see what we can kind of deconstruct from all this. But before I do, thank you very much for joining me. If you're enjoying the content, if you could hit the old thumbs up button, that would be great. If you could hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, jump into the comments, get your comments in on anything I talk about. I'll do a 10-minute roundup. This might be a little bit shorter. Get your thoughts in. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, let's jump in with the first story, and this is coming from Tekvin, who has some decent information that's come out of Turkey before, and this is that Trabzonspor have contacted Manchester United over a loan deal for Andre Onana. Now, the loan deal would be interesting because it would probably just be for the year. It would mean we get Andre Onana off the books. He's on around £140,000 a week. So obviously his wages are pretty high. Now we do know that the Turkish league can actually pay decent wages because they don't have the same tax restrictions that exist here in the UK. So Andre Onana could potentially look at that as an option. Now, would he want to go there? I don't know. Does he think he's going to be able to fight his way back into this particular team? I don't know if he can. Bienda seems to be the number one goalkeeper going forward. I think it'll be between Le Mans, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, and Bienda maybe. I've got a feeling that Onana could be pushed down the pecking order. Now, World Cup year, we've talked about it with other players. Can Onana actually does he want to just sit on the bench? The opportunity to play for Cameroon at the World Cup. Is that not something that he would want to happen? I think it probably would be. I think if he does find himself further down the pecking order, I'm sure he'd want to try and do something to resolve the situation to get himself playing again. As I said, Turkey it's a good standard of football. It's obviously not one of the higher sort of standards in terms of European football, but it's pretty decent, and a lot of good players have gone there, especially in the last few years. So maybe he would consider that as a potential option. We did talk about Saudi yesterday, but it does seem that a loan deal to Saudi doesn't seem quite right. Is someone from Saudi going to come in and buy him? I'm not entirely sure. Would he want to move to Saudi as a potential option for him, or would he feel that that's kind of regressing his career a bit earlier than he maybe thought? So I think there's a lot of questions around Onana. I do think we have four goalkeepers: Tom Heaton, Altay Bienda, Andre Onana, and obviously now Semi Le Mans. I think that we need to, one of these keepers has to go, and then even when one of them go, I'm still not entirely sure that we have the right roster of goalkeepers going forward, because Le Mans is someone who's going to take a little bit of time to bed in. It's going to be difficult for him. Tougher league than the Belgian league. It might take him, a few matches to get settled, if even that, maybe a bit longer. But as I said, Andre Onana's got big decisions to make. Is he going to be the one that goes? There was potential talk about Altay Bienda maybe looking for a move. Could he go to the Turkish league? He is already from that part of the world, so he could probably fit in quite nicely. He'd probably do quite well there. So there's a lot of question marks surrounding the goalkeeping situation, and one with Onana is obviously a massive one. Does he want to stay? Does he want to go? And what do you think? Do you think Onana should go? Do you think now's the time for him to, before, because his career is kind of, disintegrating in Manchester United a little bit. Well, not a little bit, but quite a lot. His reputation has actually been hammered. He's had some big performances. He's had some dreadful performances. He was up for goalkeeper or save of the season last year. With he made a couple of double brilliant saves last year in big games. But there's been so many mistakes. And then obviously there was the talk of him and his agent coming in to try and renegotiate the contract to get more money after we were knocked out of the Champions League, because he had a 25% wage reduction on his on his wages because we were knocked out of Europe. But that was his bloody fault. A big part of that was his inability to actually keep goal, to be able to do the basics, find a pass, kick the ball long, not throw the ball into your own net. He did make a lot of mistakes, and I just think now the time for him to get his career back on track, move for his own sake before he tarnishes his career any further, and allow Manchester United to give them the opportunity for someone else to come in, fresh blood, be it Le Mans, and hopefully grasp the opportunity and do something that maybe no goalkeeper has done for a while, and actually make that number one spot his, but doing it by showing from performances and in-game management that he is good enough to do it. So that's where we are with that one. So I went on a little bit long about that, but I'll rattle through the rest of the news. So Jim Ratcliffe has also been involved in conversations about Kobbie Mainoo's future. The player loves the club, is very happy, but unhappy about his playing time in interesting months ahead if the player situation, to see whether the player situation will be okay. And that's coming from Fabrizio Romano. Now, what we do know is that Manchester United don't want to lose Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think they do. I think Kobbie Mainoo wants to stay. I think he wants to play. The reason why he wants to play more so this year than any other year, because it's a World Cup year, same as other players, desperate to be in that England World Cup squad. He's probably looked at the squad and he probably thinks he's as good, or if not better than maybe some of the players already chosen. So he wants to get back into that particular squad and, sort of reclaim a place that was his for at least a while. And obviously Jim Ratcliffe, with Mainoo's sort of respect for the club, couldn't let him go on loan. But, is he going to be used? And I think going forward he will be, because we will get injuries. Mason Mount is injury prone. So Joshua actually has picked up injuries in the past. Is he going to stay fit? Cunha's actually potentially injured. Is he going to stay fit? Is Mainoo going to get minutes over Ugarte? Is Ugarte going to find any form this season? Well, I mean, for my sake and for the love of the club, I hope he does. I want all the players to find form. I don't care where they're from, who they are, whatever. About the club and the club going forward, not about the players. I'm not player FC, can't be bothered with that. So I just think that Manchester United need to find a way to help integrate Kobbie Mainoo into the team, find a place for him, and make it work and have him settled and get him thriving in the team. Now, it's not easy. It's going to be very difficult for him because we all know the mess that the midfield is. And then there was obviously the talk of Conor Gallagher coming in on a loan option. So Manchester United were keen. It was reported out there that we did take a look at him and that we did make inquiries. Now, that would have been interesting if he had came in, because he would have been ahead of Kobbie Mainoo. I could imagine he probably would have been at the start anyway. So that hasn't happened. But, so Kobbie has probably a lot of questions in his own mind to wonder what is actually going on and what he can actually achieve at the club and whether he's going to get the opportunities he thinks he deserves right now. And I just hope the kid does get them, and I hope he knuckles down in training. And, he's been very respectful. He has, there doesn't seem any rumours about him having a bad attitude, etc. So I just hope that is the case and that Manchester United can make this work over the next couple of months. We can get to Christmas and then can reassess then. But that's the news with Kobbie Mainoo. So, obviously Ratcliffe did get involved. He does like to get involved. And that's kind of where we are with that. Now, Anthony, come on. What a difference Seville is more beautiful than Manchester. Now, we've already had this in the past with Angel Di Maria and his wife and all that nonsense. Yep, this guy's gone. Go to Seville, have a good time, enjoy your time there, play your best football. We're done with you. You had your opportunity at Manchester United. It didn't work out for however many different reasons. The club did support you through your personal reasons and all the accusations that were made against you. And then you kind of said we were holding you to ransom, even though you kind of held us to ransom. So it was a bit of, the club did their thing, the player did his thing. Eventually everyone got the move, but please just don't bother speaking about Manchester like that. It doesn't do you any favours. And ask Angel Di Maria what favours has done him. Got him smashed into the old Hordens at a particular game, and that could well happen, Anthony, should he have to return to Old Trafford. But anyway, there we go. That was story. And then the next one is Manchester United are still exploring an exit route for Tyrell Malacia. The club still open to allowing the Dutchman to move country where the windows are still open, though the decision will be left to Ruben Amorim. I think Ruben Amorim would prefer Tyrell Malacia to leave the club and move on and just get his life back on track. I don't think he's part of the bomb squad, so-called. I didn't want to call them that, sorry. Part of that particular setup of players. I don't think he was a troublemaker. I think, yeah, maybe he was tarnished with the same brush, but I think, he's just suffered a knee injury, hasn't really got his career back on track, and he does need to go somewhere for his own sake. Diogo Dalot has withdrawn from the national team, and it's been said that he's suffering from a muscle discomfort, and he has been released by Portugal's medical staff. Now, that is, do you want to see Diogo Dalot? What do you think? Would you be disappointed? Some people won't be disappointed that he's injured. I'd rather have him available as for selection as potentially a sub on the bench rather than someone who's out injured. We can't have a raft of injuries like we did over the previous seasons. We still have injuries. We've got players coming back from injury. Licha isn't fully back yet. We know we've lost sort of Cunha for a little bit. How long, we're uncertain yet. Could be back for the City game in some capacity, but we're not sure. Mason Mount, again, we don't believe it's that bad, but we know with Mason Mount, long-term injury history, so yeah, we can't be losing any more players. So I just hope this is minor and nothing, and he's fit again. I'd rather have him as the option than not. And then finally, the last one is Manchester United are still interested in strengthening the midfield, but Director of Football Jason Wilcox does not see this as a top priority. I mean, that coming from Sky Sports, I don't know about this. Is he a priority? Is the midfielder area a priority? Has to be for me. Next in January, if we don't look at it, we have to address it in the summer. We're possibly going to lose Bruno Fernandes. We're possibly going to lose Casemiro. If we do, there's half our midfield gone. Ugarte needs a good season, and if he doesn't have a good season, maybe he'll be gone. That just leaves Mainoo. That just leaves one midfielder. Maybe Seka Coney will come in this season at the tail end or halfway through or whatever and bring something to the table. But you can't have a 20-year-old and 21-year-old trying to run a Premier League midfield. Not going to happen. We need some experience in there. So it is a massive, I think, is something that we have to look at. So I completely disagree with this report. And unless there's another kid, there's Jim Thwaites, who's a brilliant young midfielder, but again, he's only 17. Expectation for some kids from the academy to come in and make it big at Manchester United at this particular juncture, no, not a good idea. They need to be embedded into a team that actually is successful and playing well, rather than thrown in to try and bring the club back to any kind of sort of glory, because it ain't going to happen with a bunch of kids. Unfortunately, these days that's just not the way it's going to work. So they need more time. And that's all the news we have for you today. Thanks very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed and if you've stayed to the end, you're an absolute legend. If you hit the old thumbs up button, that would be great. Please subscribe. Massively helps me out. And yeah, I shall see you tomorrow. And let's see if there's any other news, because I'm sure there bloody will be.